empty hearts and neon lights. They're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. La 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 la. Oh, oh. Get me out of broken hearts and starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere.
What's up, everyone?
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello.
We had to do the music a little different. We don't have anyone manning the board today. Jeff's not here.
Man itself.
Yep. So I ran the music a different way, which is why there was some feedback there for a second. But
That's all right.
yep, no big deal.
It'll survive.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff's actually in California right now, in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Francisco.
Good old San Fran.
Yeah, he's doing something for, what is it? Which game? 704?
No, Forza.
Forza.
Some number, I don't know. That's the thing now. You just name your studio after your area code.
That's what you did.
It's years ago. I was ahead of the curve. So, and also that company is long gone now. So, yeah, I did it before it was cool.
Well, aren't you just special?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's streaming. He's doing a charity stream right now for Forza, and I believe he ended up choosing. I went through the whole charity list. I was like researching them all. I think it's smart. They just gave him a list of charities to choose from instead of being like, go find a charity, and then it ends up being some scandalous shit show. But I think it was Doctors Without Borders. So hopefully he wins. I'm sure he's going to win.
Yeah, hopefully.
He will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there winning?
He said, yes. He said this, I don't know if this is, I'm going to tell on him, but he said the person he's up against has never played Forza.
Oh.
So I'm sure he's going to be just fine. Either way, it's win-win. It's for charity. It's not that big of a deal. So it's just me and Dave today.
Yep.
And personally, I was feeling lack of motivation to do this because we have been watching nothing but Dog Whisperer in our house.
Yes.
I have been. So I've been just in like an anxious, lonely, like pouty kind of mood, which everybody gets that way during winter. Like the sun is down at 5:30. It's dark. We have like no sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's normal. But so when I get like sad, I like to watch stuff that makes me cry. Which is apparently what Dog Whisperer does.
Yes. I don't know why, because he'll be like, oh, dogs. I'm like, oh, maybe you want something happy. And then almost every episode you are crying at some point. And they are sad. They're sad stories. But
I'm not always crying because it's sad. I'm crying because it's happy.
Well,
Like
I don't understand that, but
Gavin, the war dog, he got over his PTSD and his fears, and I was like, "Go, Gavin!" It was so sweet. I'm gonna cry if we talk about it. But so we've been watching a lot of Dog Whisperer. Me and Dave watched a documentary on pit bulls last night that also made me cry.
that was horrible. Like, I knew there was pit bull bans and that it was bad. I didn't know that like U.S. city governments were rounding up dogs and just murdering them.
Out of people's homes.
Yeah, confiscating your dog.
And that's what I'm so glad we watched that, because it's true. I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I don't have a pit bull. Even some places though, they'll make you pay extra if you have a German Shepherd or a Rottweiler, which Benny is mixed with. So I know, like, I have large breed dogs, and they are can be considered dangerous breeds if you let them be. But yeah, watching them pull if somebody pulled one of my dogs out of my house, like I went out of the house and they came in and took them, I would lose my shit. So I'm glad we watched that.
Well, and
now
that
we
was
know.
every single person in the movie, even like law enforcement, lawyers, all of them were like, if someone came for my dog, I would be going to prison. They're like, I would not hand them over. Like, they all basically were like, if you come for my dog, I will attack you myself.
Yep.
And I agree.
Every person in there was like, your breed, you don't think it's a big deal until it happens to you. It's your dog in your house. And half the people who were getting their dogs taken, like, I won't say half, but a lot of them weren't even pit bulls.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing that, like, it killed me because
Sorry.
I don't know if it was a little more than halfway through, but they said they brought in experts. Or not experts, the people who worked for the city who decided your dog's a pit bull, which isn't a breed, it's multiple breeds. But they asked them to identify pit bulls and they couldn't.
Right.
It was like 2% were able to identify an actual pit bull, where there are other breeds that they were claiming to be pit bull and they're not. So they were just basically rounding up any dog that had tiny little bit of resemblance.
Right. So on top of the fact that it's so wrong that they did that, they couldn't even identify and like enforce which dogs they were taking. But it was a lot of dogs that they had taken and put down, dogs who had never done anything. So yeah, that got me a little emotional. But I've been it's made me like feel inspired and motivated to work with Apollo more, because I haven't had a puppy in the house since Benny. I fostered some other dogs, but Benny was my first dog I got when I moved out at 19, and he's almost 11 now. So I haven't had to set boundaries like this with a dog in a long time. And because Apollo is so big and he scares people. Like, I see reactions to people when they just see me walking him, and he walks really well now. But when they see him, they're like, oh, a shepherd, look out. So my goal with him is now to get him service certified.
Mm-hmm.
Just so people feel less fearful of him, because there's nothing to be afraid of. He's a sweet dog.
I just don't understand why people are scared of dogs. We talked about this. It's like there are people that believe, not even just dogs, that there are animals that are purely born aggressive and that they have full intent to harm you every chance they get, and that does not exist.
Right.
There is not a single living creature that is just straight up aggressive.
Right. Well, except humans.
Well, yeah.
That was a lot of the stuff I was, because I started reading a dog behavior book as well. And they were saying, people are like, oh, my dog's going to, be mean or hold a grudge against me or whatever. And it's like, dogs literally do not do that. They might have developed like anxiety or something, which can also be corrected, and my dogs are making noises. Anyway, so training Apollo has taught me that I have let Benny relax on a lot of boundaries too. And of course, then, I start watching shows like that, and I'm like, because I want to, pick up tips, and I've seen Dog Whisperer years ago, and we started rewatching it. But people are like, it's animal abuse, and it's all this terrible stuff. And I'm thinking, most of the people who I've seen people do much worse than that to their dogs.
Oh yeah.
Like, what?
Well, that, and it kills me because you see that it's online outcry. People saying that's animal abuse. Are these people even pet owners? That's what I want to know. One, do they have a dog? And two, is your dog complete shit? Because if you have a shitty dog, you shouldn't have an opinion on how to train dogs.
Yes.
Now, if you have the best, most well-behaved dog in the world, and you're saying that he's doing it wrong, okay, maybe there's something to your opinion.
Well, the other thing is a lot of people with good dogs set good boundaries and rules with their dogs when they were younger, or, you know, almost every dog on that show is a dog that people rescued that has like a lot of shit going on with it.
Oh,
or dogs
a lot of
that
trauma.
I told you this yesterday. Almost every dog on there is a dog that they're like, we're going to have to put him down. Wouldn't you rather try everything to help them learn to live a happy life before putting them down because you feel like there's nothing else?
Well, and
Makes no sense.
So also along that, like we discussed this a lot. So we're just kind of repeating discussions we've kind of had through the week.
This is all we've been talking.
Yeah.
I can't stop talking about dogs lately.
Like
It's ridiculous.
I don't have a dog, and I've wanted
well,
one.
you kind of do.
Well, yeah, but like I don't have my own dog, and I've wanted one for years, probably 5-6 years. I've wanted a dog, but I know also live like. Because there was that year when I didn't live with you guys. That's when I was really considering it the most. But I know what's a good environment for owning a dog. And it's like, I've not been in that environment where I can take care of one. I can train it right. Like, I can provide it what it needs. A lot of other people, it's an accessory. They look for a breed that they think is cute or looks cool or mean or whatever their stupid criteria is. And they go and they buy one. And then when it doesn't work out, they're just like, get rid of it. Mistake, get rid of it.
Yep.
Like, oh, my kids didn't like it. I bought it for my kids. Get rid of it. It's like,
how many people we saw with like, there was that one lady with 2 Great Danes, but there's so many people with like German Shepherds, Pit Bulls, like Whippets, like high energy dogs or like Jack Russells, and they have them in like a small building, and they're like, they don't leave their crate. Like, I'm never home. They don't get walked, but like twice a week. It's like,
and then they get mad when they eat the wall,
issue. Literally,
or
your
the couch.
Right. That's why I couldn't even get mad with Apollo. There were like corners of the walls he was chewing up, and I've since fixed, and he hasn't done that in a while now. But I was like, okay, he is obviously to the point now where he needs more exercise than he was getting. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I started doing that, no issues.
Oh, you take him for walks, and when you guys get back, he just collapses. He's out. Where before he would start getting antsy and start doing laps around the living room and running up on the couch. And like he is a ball of energy. And people that like I've just seen way too many things where someone will buy like a husky, which is one of the most high energy dogs you can get. And they get mad because it'll destroy their house.
Right.
And it's like, you can't leave it locked up in a room all day and never take it out. You can't do that.
And then they're like, why is my dog behaving so badly? It's like, because he's not a houseplant. He's a living creature.
He's behaving badly because you're a bad owner.
Yes.
And you shouldn't own a dog.
No. And people should start with something more low maintenance. Start with a plant or a goldfish or something that makes you take responsibility for it, because man, there are a lot of people who don't. They just don't. They don't take any responsibility.
I don't get it. I don't get people. I don't understand.
Well, I told you today I'm learning that, because I have like what put me in a bad mood today was I went to the dog park and had to be around children that were behaving really awfully in the dog park. There have been kids in there that have been awesome, and Apollo loves them, and that I leave feeling good. Today, shitty kids. I left like, I hate kids, fuck kids, they shouldn't be in a dog park. Like, I was so mad. And then I was like, my dogs weren't mad at those kids. They were happy and whatever. I was like, they had a good time. Kids were raised by parents that are obviously not doing so great.
It's the same as dogs. It's, if you don't raise them right, they don't come out right. And those parents were not raising those kids right.
Yeah, but you can't say anything to that, you know.
You can.
But that's the thing, though, is I think that's what makes me resentful toward kids is because I don't have children. So when I see people with their kids who are acting like shitbags toward dogs, I'm like, you clearly think that this dog deserves no respect because it's a dog, and your kids are now allowed to treat everybody's dogs however they want, and that is absolutely awful to me. Like, your kids can treat your dog however you let them. That's not my business. But they're not going to treat, you know, my dogs or other dogs that way. It's just, no. So it's hard to leave like feeling happy, even though the dogs are super happy. It's hard for me to, so I'm learning. I need to.
Maybe I just have a different
balance.
outlook on life because I feel like if I'm raising my kid wrong, like if I'm raising a shit kid, I hope someone's going to one day just look at me and be like, your kid is shit. Fix him. But no one does that. Everyone does it like, it's wrong to tell a parent that they're possibly raising someone horrible.
Have you ever told a parent that their kid was a little
No,
asshole?
because when their kid is like that, I get out of there.
Because I've spoken up to people before about their kids being stupid.
Oh, they don't take it well.
No. So I'm like, I guess just never say anything and let your kid be a shitbag, but keep them away from me. But there are also really cool kids that are very well behaved, and I enjoy being around.
Yeah. Well, it's like I have nieces and nephews, and I mean, I'm biased, but they're good kids. But when they're doing something that's annoying, I'll just look at them and be like, don't do that. And I like politely correct them. And my brothers and sister-in-laws, they don't care. They're just like, what are they doing? Go yell at them. I don't care. Like, again, I'm family, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like it'd be better if more people were open to that.
I think you should be the same thing with the dogs, which I keep like having family meetings and trying to reiterate is if we're not all doing the same thing, like that's why I know you don't feel like they're your dogs. Technically, I got them. They are my dogs, but we are all like the higher ups of the house. We need to make sure we're all setting boundaries for them and teaching them how to be.
Yeah. No, I know. And it's whenever I dog sit, I know that I have not done things the way I should.
I don't think anybody, I know you don't do things like consistently when you dog sit, but I still feel like you do better than almost anybody else who watches them. So
I actually feel bad because sometimes I get worried that I'm going to overfeed them. And then I'm like, wait, did I feed them earlier? I can't remember. Well, I guess you're on a diet tonight in case I did forget. I don't know. Like, hope I fed you. So, I mean, because there was that one time, I think, you guys were gone for like a week and you came back. You were in the door 30 seconds and you just looked at me and you go, why is Benny fat? I was like, I followed the feeding schedule. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I get worried about Benny because I know he's getting old and he can't walk as far. So when he gains weight, which can lead to health problems, when he gains weight, it's really hard for me to get it off and get him back to fit now because his physical limitations are much higher in his old age. But man, I saw him running around the dog park these last few days like a crazy person. He ran faster today than I have seen him run in probably 5 or 6 years. He was in a full-on sprint. And then when he was done, he like couldn't stand and just fell over, but it was crazy. So,
he tapped into that puppy energy that he has very, very little of.
Yes. I do. I love my dog so much, and anybody who knows me knows like like my whole heart is my dogs. But I'm learning that I need to be better at setting boundaries for them, especially Benny. He's getting old and he's too cute and sweet, and I don't discipline him almost ever at all.
And
because he's good.
Well, the thing is, I picked up on it. He does this to me. Benny played me for the first year. He knew that when you would leave the room, he would like come over and like do his little dance and like whine. I'd be like, oh, you want to go outside? And then I'd let him out. And he would just lay down or like go around and sniff. He would do that like 4 times because for a while when he would go out, he would get something when he would come back in. And he knew I would let him in and out as many times as he asked. So Benny played me for a while, and
Yeah.
yeah, I've learned if he needs boundaries because he's smart enough to take
Yes.
advantage of you.
Yeah, and I've noticed in my disciplining of Apollo and like trying to teach him, I'm like, oh my God, Benny knows better than to do a lot of the stuff that I let him do. He knows better. But he also learns really quick. Like the past few days, we have this little routine. I feed them, and then Benny starts doing the dance. He's like, immediately. He's like, still got food in his mouth, and he's like, ready to go outside.
Today, he ran to the door. He had food still in his mouth when he ran to the door.
Yes. It was a trail of food. But so now I finish, like, they're done eating, and I sit on the couch, and I have them, like, wait until they're completely laying down and chill. And then, and then we go out. But we're work in progress. So goal for 2020, before Apollo's second birthday, I want to get him service trained. Maybe Benny too. I think Benny could do it. He's easy dude. So maybe they'll both be service trained, but that's just for my peace of mind, taking them out in
Then
public.
you can take them anywhere.
I know. I don't want to though.
Anywhere.
I don't want to.
No. You want to take them in a grocery store? Service dog. They can't tell you no.
That's right. Actually, what would be cool is I think they can fly on planes if they're
Do
a
you
service
have to
dog.
buy them a ticket?
I'm sure because it's a bigger dog, I would have to, yeah. Unless I got a exit seat and then they could sit next to me, I guess. I don't know how it works. I just saw that you can go into airports and fly on airplanes with a service dog.
Okay, so you know how like people kind of dunk on millennials for the whole safe space thing and all that and therapy dogs. I think there should be just dogs on every flight in general. Like that would make flying amazing.
I agree. For some reason, every time I start like talking about how I raise my dogs or things that I do with my dogs, it makes me like hate children more. And I feel really bad. Like there's nothing wrong with kids, but I'm like, we have to deal with children. Why can't I bring my dog? And I know there are a lot of people who say stuff like that, but I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we kind of touched on it too, though, is like, and I know you don't hate kids. You don't like the poorly raised kids, but I think everyone I know feels that way. Like, and no one wants to admit that they got a shitty kid, but they're out there.
They are definitely out there. Well, and you and I both grew up similarly, like big families.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I know the way my parents were, like there were a group of 6 kids at all times, very young to me, but we were not allowed to like act crazy ever. Like anytime we went anywhere, my dad was ex-military too. So I remember almost every time we ever like went out in public, people were like, those kids are really well behaved. And I'm like, yeah, because we were terrified of my dad. He did not let us step out of line.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm not saying don't let your kids be kids, but
no,
they need to be respectful.
That's how I'm still scared of my dad.
That's true.
Like I'm in my 30s. My dad is old. Like there's no reason to be scared of him, but I am still scared of my dad. Like, and it's not a bad way of being scared. Like he just put that parental fear in me. So I still, like when I visit, I still follow the house rules, even though a lot of them I don't need to, but I still do.
I think that's respectful. I don't know. I still feel like I had a childhood and did kid things. But yeah, people think that, but there are people who think disciplining at all in any fashion is just whatever. People suck. So my anxiety has been not around my dogs or kids or anything. It's people are just stupid. And
the moral of every day, all day, people are dumb.
We were watching that documentary. Dave just goes, man, people are so stupid. I was like, that I think is the number one thought that goes through my head more than anything else is just, oh, people are stupid.
The story where the woman had her kid was playing with a pit bull and the dog was doing nothing wrong. And like, she loved the dog. She's like, he's so beautiful. He's great with kids. What is he? As soon as the guy was like, oh, he's a pit bull terrier, grabbed her kid and was like, how dare you let my child around that dog? What is wrong with you? Clearly, the dog is fine.
People suck.
You stupid.
Yes.
They stupid.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yep. Okay, so since we just went on for like 25 minutes about dogs, which I'm perfectly fine with.
Welcome to the dog hour.
I knew you were like, I don't know if it runs short because Jeff's not here. I was like, I don't know, man. I have not shut up about dogs in like a week.
Yep. Except that's all we have. So regular listeners and viewers of this, I'm sure have noticed that there are, I don't want to say obsessions, maybe fads. I don't know. We get into things in this house and it's all or nothing. So lately it's been all dogs, all dog whisperer. Like before there was the RuPaul drag show where it was nothing but RuPaul on the TV for like 2 weeks.
Well, that's just, we like to binge watch stuff.
Yeah. So it's like,
I think a lot of people do that.
it's like, oh, this is great. How many episodes? 3,000? Great. We'll watch all of them right now. So that is how life is.
I definitely get into a like binge mode with TV. Like I don't like a lot of shows, honestly. So when I find something that I do like, I will watch it, which is why I've seen The Office 38 times. Because if you know it's good,
Yeah,
you just stick with it.
Yeah.
Dog Whisperer is good.
it is. It is.
And it helps me to release the tears.
You just like being sad sometimes.
Whatever.
I don't get it.
All right.
I like to keep my emotions bottled up.
Is that why you're on the toilet so much? They got to get out of you somehow.
You're funny.
Yes. That's what they tell me.
But speaking of binge watching, coming up in December next month,
Yes.
or not even, well, yeah, it's next month. Netflix is launching The Witcher, which has already got a lot of hype behind it. It's been signed for season 2 already, all original cast, and the creators have mapped out 7 seasons worth of show.
That makes me so happy.
I hope it's good.
I have high hopes. I think they're going to do it.
I want them to fill that void the Game of Thrones left. Because Game of Thrones was amazing, and then at the end, it felt like they just kicked me in the stomach and walked out. And not because it ended, because of how bad it ended. And I wanted them to do another season to fix it, and that's never going to happen.
I think they have some spin-offs planned, don't they?
They planned a prequel, canceled it, and planned a different prequel.
Interesting.
Yes. So I don't know. Before the prequel even got halfway through pre-production, they pivoted to a different idea.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Well, I plan on watching The Witcher. I'm super excited about it.
It's going to be amazing.
It's right up my alley.
So you've played what, The Witcher 3?
Yep.
Okay. So I have not played any of them. I watched you play a good chunk of The Witcher 3. I don't remember if you streamed it or if I just hung out behind you watching like a weirdo.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
I was playing Dragon Age at the same time, and I know you watched me play a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I did stream a lot of Witcher.
Yeah.
It was really good.
So I haven't played them, but with the games, I heard the story about how it was based on a book series. I think they're Swedish or something. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Somewhere from because I heard like how the guy who wrote the books, he got screwed over by the game company. Like he signed like a super cheap deal. Had no belief in the gaming industry whatsoever. He was just like, "What? Yeah,
that's not him getting screwed by the gaming industry.
Himself.
That's him. Yeah.
Yeah. So he I think tried to sue him recently for more money and all this because it ended up being phenomenal games, but that's because they're good stories. So the Netflix series, I believe, if I've read correctly online, is supposed to follow the book series. So if you get impatient, you can always order the books and read them.
I thought about that, but I still have the Game of Thrones series that I haven't even opened yet.
You don't need to hurry. There's supposed to be 2 more books. They've been...
That's why I haven't.
We'll be lucky if they ever get released before Georgie R.R. Martin, whatever his name is, before he dies.
Georgie.
Yes.
Georgie boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who takes 10 years to write a book? Come on.
Well, he was helping with the HBO series.
No, like the first Game of Thrones book came out in the 90s.
Actually, didn't he? He's released many books since the last Game of Thrones book.
And he just won't put the next book out. And also, I read he writes on a freaking Apple II. He writes on a computer from the 80s because he doesn't like modern word processors because they have spell check, and he makes up his own words, and he doesn't want them telling him how to write. And no,
Love it. I mean, you can turn that stuff off.
He needs to get off. He needs to get off his high horse and finish some books, and so get out of his money bin for a minute.
Oh my!
That's how I
do
feel.
believe if you start a series like that, I mean, you can't just leave people hanging.
Yeah,
That's irresponsible.
That's
what makes people stop reading books right there. Like the people who still read, if you want to torture us that way and start a series and not finish it, that's a terrible move as an author. I think he's got them finished somewhere. I think they're already written. I think he's just waiting for Game of Thrones hype to die down.
Well, so the show doesn't follow the books, and so apparently they kind of stumbled upon the direction he wanted to take because people were saying like, oh, we could use this to predict the next book. And he kind of in some interview half confirmed that or something, but.
And that's what I'm saying. Maybe the show is too fresh on everybody's mind still. That I know I would feel that way as an author. If the show was done before the book, you'd be like, well, what if they don't like what I wrote as well as the way the show wrote, But that's the risk he took when he let his series become a TV show and didn't finish the books in the meantime.
Yeah. So I just pulled it up. Guess what year the first book came out?
92.
96.
Ooh.
Game of Thrones, the first book of the series, came out in 96.
I knew it was out when I was a kid.
It's 2019. What are we at? Yeah, 2019.
What are we at?
So it's, 23 years later. 4. I don't know. Anywho, book 6 isn't out yet, and there are 7 planned. The last one came out in 2011. It's been 8 years since he's released the Game of Thrones book.
Yeah, but that's also how I feel about the Avatar movies.
Yeah.
It took a long time.
Well, and also I read earlier I didn't put it in the show notes. You're not big into anime. Remember I showed you Evangelion on Netflix? Yeah. So they started remaking that series came out in the 90s. They started remaking it as super HD fancy movies in 2007. It's supposed to be 4 movies. They just announced the release date of the 4th movie for next year.
Oof.
Yeah.
I'm glad
creators are killing me.
For me, in a case like that, better late than never. Like at least we're gonna get them. Like,
I was happy the 4th one finally got announced because it was unannounced for like 8 years.
The Avatar or Evangelion?
The Evangelion ones. Avatar, they're often, I don't know, they're reinventing everything the cinema and film industry's ever done so they can make the movies the way they want to. So they're not just peddling around being like, well, what should we write? They're like, we need to figure out how to make a supercomputer and a camera so we can do crazy 3D stuff.
Yep.
So
I love that. I'm excited. James Cameron's crazy as hell.
The dude went to the bottom of the ocean.
Like, I'm excited for that. There was one more thing. Now I can't remember that they're going to be coming out with. Oh, no, it was something they weren't coming out with because I was thinking about James Cameron and, what's that movie? Alita?
Oh,
Battle Angel.
Alita Battle Angel.
God, that was so good. We need to, we're going to have a whole show on that. I'd like to start a petition and GoFundMe to make a movie for the second Alita Battle Angel. Thank you.
That's where I think we're going down a rabbit hole now, but whatever. I think Hollywood needs to rethink their profit. I think they need to rethink their approach to making profits. They put out like an Avengers movie, and it was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the next movie was like $1 billion, and then the ne They make $300 million opening day, like they make billions or whatever. Then another movie comes out and they're like, well, if it doesn't make 100 million opening weekend, we're not going to continue the series. Even though it was written for 3 parts, it ends on a cliffhanger. Doesn't matter. If it doesn't hit this price point, it's canceled. And no, they need to like open that up to expanded markets. Like cut different deals with streaming, Amazon Prime. I don't know, to where if there is enough there, I think it should feed the sequel.
Yeah.
Or this is something that I've wanted forever and it'll never happen. And that is you can buy the movie at the movie theater. Like after you see it, if you want to own it, you can just boom, buy it. Done.
Like in a Blu-ray form?
Whatever you want. Digital, Blu-ray, I don't know. I think discs are dead and no one should own them.
Because, I mean, technically, that's like if I see a movie and really like it, I do come home and buy it when I want to watch it again.
Oh, well, I don't even buy movies.
I was about to say, now my a lot of my movie library is on Amazon Prime. They have a lot of movies. And I wonder if, they're going to start dwindling down too as people open more streaming platforms.
Yep.
Because I noticed that movies that are on like Showtime or HBO, it'll be like on Amazon, it'll be like, you can only watch this with your HBO trial or with your Showtime trial. I'm like, oh.
So Amazon was a little smart. They partnered with Starz and HBO. So it was every single HBO original except Game of Thrones is available on Amazon Prime. And then they did a thing with Starz where it was similar. They got a lot of their content. And they kind of extended out to them and saying like, well, instead of you having your own market, we got this big market. We'll work out a deal that benefits both of us. So it was kind of like a partnership. But yeah.
I mean, to me, I don't see what. God, and I'm such a Amazon whore. Like I buy everything through there, and it is my main streaming platform. Even though I feel bad just contributing to the huge dumpster fire of that company. But anyway, I don't see what would stop them from selling the movie. Like the other company, whatever's like they sell a Cinemax movie.
So
that those people would get a cut of it anyway, right?
There's some kind of royalty deal, where they make money.
Yeah, so that's why I chose to do all my streaming through Amazon. I know people who have Plex, and I have a lot of friends that'll be like, trade your Plex with me. And I'm like, I feel like Plex is a little sketchy.
So, okay.
For my liking.
For people who don't know what Plex is a free open platform that you can download, run it on your computer. You can run it on a server. You can run it on a NAS drive. It's basically just software you can put on a system. And it is like an open Netflix. So it's Netflix software that you put on your computer, and then you provide the videos.
Right.
And then you just download the Plex app, you log into your account, and there are your videos. So a lot of people have been building up their own private Netflixes. I'm not going to confirm or deny my experience with Plex, but from what I've heard, a lot of people back when DVDs were big, they would just dump their DVD libraries on there. So that way you didn't need the disc. You didn't need that stuff. You could just pull up the app on your TV,
right.
Boom, watch your movie. So it's one of those things where like I just think it's too inconvenient. I don't want to have to go and add the videos to it myself. Other people, I'm sure they're fine with that. But I've gotten lazy.
See, to me, Plex, that is what it was designed for you to put your personal library there and be able to kind of take it on the go. However, I feel like it encourages pirating to an extent because...
Oh, very much.
I mean, people are downloading content the way that we used to. Everybody used to.
Yeah.
That was my New Year's resolution in 2010, was to stop pirating media. I was a lawbreaker, and I did. I downloaded movies and music, and I was like, no. And I've had Spotify for 10 years, and I haven't downloaded a single... I don't even know if like stuff like that exists anymore. I'm sure it does.
It does.
It was LimeWire last time I used it. Or FrostWire.
No, those were things. Yeah.
Okay.
No, BitTorrent kind of took over, and it got a bad rep for piracy. But BitTorrent was developed behind the open source community. So if you had something you wanted to distribute, you could set it up on a torrent and then distribute it using peer-to-peer, and it was great. But the piracy side latched onto it hard.
All right, I feel like we're just gonna keep going on a track that has no end.
So no, I did want to circle back though, because we've kind of stumbled on a topic that I've had in the show notes for 3 weeks, and Jeff always just goes right over it, like he doesn't want to talk about it. And that is the paying for a service versus ownership, and are we okay with that? So kind of the idea that falls under that, because like I'm now paying, like I have Game Pass and PlayStation Now, and like these game services where I pay $5-10 a month, or Netflix even. And the same with software, Adobe, all of them. You pay a monthly fee, you never own it. It's never actually yours. You pay a
as long as you're
gatekeeping
paying.
fee, and then you get it. And if it doesn't exist in that ecosystem, it's like it doesn't exist to you.
Yeah, but I think that's great, and it just depends on the person, like situation to situation. It's amazing if you're somebody who utilizes a lot of other things that platform offers you. If you're somebody who wants one game, like me, I will only buy a PlayStation game if I am looking forward to that game and really want to play it. I'm not going to subscribe to PlayStation services because I don't need all these games, monthly and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But if like I were a 15-year-old again and had all the time in the world to play video games, sure, I would have that network where that's way cheaper.
Oh yeah, it's dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And that's the new Star Wars game came out, and it's on EA's streaming service. It's $15 a month. That's a $60 game.
Right.
I'm not going to pay $60 for it. I'll pay the $15, cancel immediately after I sign up so it doesn't bill me the next month, and play the game and be done.
Right.
So with this though is like, I always said back even when I did piracy. I was a bad pirate. I mean, I was good at pirating. But I always said convenience would kill piracy. And for me, I haven't pirated anything in years, because same thing, Spotify, Netflix, it's easier to just pay a handful of dollars a month and it's there. And I feel like my time is worth more than obtaining that stuff any other way. So it's like, I'm fine with most of these services. There's still those outliers in gaming where it's like, okay, this new game came out, it's not on those services, and then got to decide, do I want to buy it or wait till it goes on sale? But like for movies, like you guys buy stuff on Amazon Prime. For me, if it's not on Netflix, it doesn't exist in my reality.
That's not true. You have Plex.
I have access to a Plex, but even it's shoddy to connect. You've seen it, like it cuts out.
You've seen it.
It's for me. It's mainly like if it's not in that service, I just pretend it doesn't exist.
And to me, I think all of these, I'm perfectly fine with the not owning and just buying into something.
Yeah,
perfectly fine. It's just going to depend on you. Do you use it that much for it to be worth whatever the price is to you? Like if they did something with Hulu, I don't know that I would continue Hulu if the price raised. We don't use it enough. It's convenient to have whenever there are shows that I want to see. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what we're going to do about Netflix when they drop The Office and all of NBC. I mean,
you'll have to sign up for... Okay, so for those that aren't aware, NBC is making their own streaming service. It's supposed to be out, I think, end of next year or the year after. So NBC is letting all their shows expire off of the other streaming services, and they're going to host it only on theirs, kind of what Disney's doing. Mm-hmm. So in some Disney stuff, I think it's still on Netflix and other places. Those contracts are not going to get renewed. If you want to see Disney stuff, you got to go with Disney Plus. That's what NBC is doing. I guarantee in the next 5 years, every major network will have their own streaming service, and it's going to be how it was with satellite before, where there were all those packages, and if you wanted everything, it cost you $150 a month.
Yep.
And then Netflix came out, and everyone was like, $8 a month, I get all this stuff. Well, there's going to be so much division and so many different streaming packages. Mm-hmm. It's going to be back to, if you want everything, $150 a month.
Yep. God, that's so true.
That's where it's going.
It's so annoying. Well, I guess since 90% of the reason I have Netflix is for The Office, I guess we'll be adding NBC to our. Oh, God. Well, that's fine.
Yep.
Maybe I'll get rid of something else. Get rid of Hulu. We don't
Well,
use it enough.
Hulu comes with Disney Plus.
No, it does not.
Yeah, it does. The basic package, not the super premium one that has 0 ads, but if you get Hulu, ESPN, and Nat Geo with Disney Plus.
Until they create their own streaming streaming platforms, and then that stuff eventually goes off of Disney.
They partnered with Disney. I don't know why Disney has Nat Geo or ESPN. As far as I know, they don't own them, or maybe they do. I know Disney bought out most of Fox, so they might own them, and that's why they're on there.
Weird.
I don't know.
I can never keep up with what Disney does and doesn't own.
Almost everything.
So, sorry, now I have hiccups. But I want to touch on, because you just watched this morning and I watched it last night, so it's still fresh in our brains. The last installment of the Shane Dawson Jeffery Star series, which probably more interesting to me than to Dave, because I actually was looking forward to buying the makeup and did purchase some of it. But it was cool because me and Dave and Jeff, I don't know if they even want to admit this, but we were following all that drama that happened in the beauty community a while back. Like, it was fun.
Okay.
I mean, it was terrible.
So,
but
gonna, I guess, defend myself briefly for a second.
oh, God, yes.
No.
Feed your toxic masculinity to
Uh-huh.
me, Dave.
Oh, it's hungry. No. It's not that like I was following it, but I was curious because you were pulling the stuff up and like as it was going down and we were watching
Actually,
it.
Jeff's the one who told me about it, to be perfectly honest, because I wasn't anywhere in the world.
Yeah, like with the social media. But the thing is, it was so prevalent that like it's almost, I don't know, it's like just kind of it's like just keeping up with what's going on the internet. And a lot of it had to do with YouTubers. So it's like the YouTube space. It's like, I don't care what that content creator makes. If there's like something going on where they're losing millions of subscribers in a week, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's happening.
Right.
So
that's how a lot of people felt. So Shane had finished this documentary and didn't, really, he pretty much skipped over the whole drama that happened with James Charles, just completely jumped over it, and everybody was like, no, he didn't do that he's got to tell us something. So he came out with the last installment and showed their reactions to what was going on, and it was pretty much the same as our reactions on the couch. We were like, oh that was it. Like,
yeah,
that's what happened.
One thing I learned is the beauty community is all drama.
Yes.
And they like to attack each other.
They're horrible.
Yep.
Because I used to put up some makeup videos on YouTube years ago, and I was like, I can't deal with this. I put it up for like my friends, and I would post on Facebook and be like, hey guys, I posted this video on YouTube, and then I had a few online friends who would watch it too. But when strangers started watching it, like someone who didn't even know me, they'd be like, your eyebrows are fucked. And I was like, I can't deal with this. This is not okay. So yeah, beauty community, really awful. So he went over that drama, which he wasn't even involved in that much. They just wanted to know his reaction to it, which he gave them. So the other side, like the big thing that happened, which I got to be a part of on my end, was trying to buy stuff. So the store is on Shopify, and people were being so stupid, as people do. They were real dumb and so angry. It's crashing. It's blah, blah, blah. Because it was like almost 3 million people. It was like 2 point whatever million people trying to get on the site at the exact same time.
So, but a lot of people, they view computers and the internet the same as TV. You turn it on and it works. It's supposed to work.
Right.
And when it doesn't work, the world ends. And like Shopify, who is the provider and framework for online e-commerce, like they're huge. Like I've worked on stuff with Shopify before, and they like gave them all the support they could. They bumped them to, like, they had them on the phone in the documentary. Like their top people were dedicated, working on it, dedicated servers, everything they could throw at this. Yeah, 2-3 million people trying to connect to a website. I don't care what website it is, what server it is in the world, it's going down.
Yes.
It is crashing. That is how you crash servers. You send
Right.
a mass amount of traffic to it and you just punt it off the internet.
But
And people did that.
yes.
And we're getting mad about it being down.
So Jeff knew I really wanted some of the things in that collection, and I got a few things that I wanted. I didn't get all of them, but honestly, I wasn't sure that I would get anything because I knew it was going to be a huge deal. And so I had an alarm set. Me and Jeff was buying things on his phone. I was buying things on mine. It took us 2 hours to get 3 things, which I'm fine with. I knew it was going to be rough, but as this is going on, people are tweeting and whatever on all their social media about this is bullshit. I don't even want this stuff anymore. And I wanted to see this video that they put out, like the end of it showing what happened during the launch, because I'm thinking I could not handle that. I could not handle that many people being pieces of shit toward me like I just fucking punch them in the face. The way people were acting shows how so toxic people in the beauty community and online are.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous to act that way.
Well, I mean, clearly they want to launch a product and then when everyone's trying to buy it, just when the website goes down, just do nothing. I mean, that makes sense. Why would you want to put your website back up? Like, it was clearly their fault. Their website broke and they did nothing about it.
Yeah, that was really frustrating. It frustrated me the day that I was trying to buy stuff. I wasn't even upset at how long it was taking. It was kind of fun. I was like, I was anticipating it. I was like, I know this is going to be crazy. That's like the closest feeling to Black Friday I think I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, oh, we got to hurry. I'm like clicking, click, and refreshing. And I knew, I was like, this is going to be absolutely ridiculous trying to get this site to function. But it was fun. And my only like sadness was coming from other people being pieces of shit.
So with the Shane Dawson, Jeffrey Star docuseries that came out, this was all about, like, I actually enjoyed it because it showed the business side of it. And like, I could care less about makeup, but I like business.
Right.
And it showed that back end stuff, which I thought was really interesting because it was like how they really do their business. But in this last one, when the site was going down and they were like, they got the queue working where people could queue up to check out, they said that the system could only process 10,000 requests every, 5 minutes or something?
Yeah, they had and they had 2.5 million in the queue to check out.
Maybe 10,000 at a time is what they said. They were like, that is the most the system can handle. They're like, no system can do more than 10,000. So basically, out of the entire e-commerce world, 10,000 at a time is all you can really handle with I guess finance infrastructure,
which is way the hell better than going to a store.
So
still,
they were pushing the e-commerce infrastructure to its absolute limits for 2 hours, and people were still getting mad. Like, it just, I mean, I understand those people don't understand how that stuff works, but it blew my mind when I heard that number, 10,000 at a time. That's a ridiculous number. Like, you can't make the system better. Like they said, it's impossible.
Right. With what they're working with, absolutely.
Yeah.
But seeing people get all dramatic, and there were people crying, and I've been waiting all year for this. I'm like,
that one killed
God.
me. Yeah, that girl, she's like, I waited a year for this. The docuseries started 2 months ago.
Yeah, but they've been, if you follow them on social media, they were posting about that before I even got to social media.
Still, like
it's been out there.
You knew they were doing something maybe for a year. You didn't know what was happening till 2 months ago. You weren't waiting a year for anything.
Right.
Get over yourself.
I don't know. The way people act is just to that level of drama over something that is so not something to get worked up about. Like, have a good life. It was irritating. That was irritating to see.
Yeah.
Made me mad. But I'm glad I have closure now. It's over. And I got to see that other people, it was fun to watch other people trying to check out. And I was like, oh man, I was doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
It was brilliant. That whole series, I remember I was like stomping around the house like, those people are so smart. They are so smart. They marketed to people in a way that I don't think I've ever seen done before. They made people who wanted to buy that, people who buy makeup, we'll just say that, people who buy makeup, they let us feel like we were a part of designing it and making it and being there for it, which made us want it even more. And then they brought in people who aren't even makeup people because it was interesting and drew you into like the business side of stuff. Fucking genius. They deserve every dime for that, putting that level of marketing into their product.
Did you catch that older couple towards the end where people were like showing like the products they got and they're all like, oh, this is amazing. I got my palette. And then they showed this like one dude, he had a big beard and he was smoking. He was wearing a tracksuit.
Yeah.
He was like, I love my tracksuit. He's like, I don't care about makeup. I don't wear it, but I love my like a guy who doesn't even want makeup bought clothes off the merch store. Like he was into it that much.
Yeah. They did great. It was genius. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen for a launch of any product. Super smart.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for Shane. I'm glad he's a millionaire now.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome. Well deserved.
Well, and that's the other like. I saw a little bit of people like hating on how they're like, oh well, blah blah with the money. It's like, so what? Okay, he made out with like $30 million in a day. He put a year. I mean, granted, no one makes $30 million in a year, but like he put work in. It's not like he was just handed the money. Like, and also they created a product that's. When you provide something,
I don't think
profits follow.
I don't think people should ever have to justify their income to anybody.
No, I agree, but
it doesn't matter how much work he did or didn't. It's none of your business, and shut up.
Well, I guess I should rephrase it. Like people that get mad instead of happy for other people's success
are insecure.
Those are garbage human beings.
Well, I definitely agree with you on that. All right, so that was fun.
Yes, it was.
All right, do you got some gaming news?
We do got some gaming news.
All right,
and one of this is a long time in the making.
One of these.
One of items.
Oh boy, it's getting better. Oh wait, here we go.
Why use much words?
Tell us when few words do trick.
Davepedia.
Yes. So
go for it.
The series of Half-Life, created by Valve, which led to the creation of Steam. Steam was made to sell Valve's games because they were like so big and all this. So the entire computer gaming industry was completely changed because of the Half-Life series. It's been 13 years since they've worked on that series. They did Half-Life 2 and then they did some mini DLC games. So there was Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Promised Half-Life 2 Episode 3. I don't remember if that one came out. I think it never did. Half-Life 3 has been a meme on the internet forever. Everyone's like, oh, when Half-Life 3's come out or Half-Life 3 confirmed. It's just been going so long that people almost don't even, like the younger generation doesn't even understand it. They did not announce Half-Life 3 at all, but they announced a new Half-Life 2 game, or a new Half-Life game that is after Half-Life 2. So it's kind of like that Half-Life 2 Episode 3-ish thing, but it's for VR. And it looks amazing already. It's due out next year. So it's going to be pushing Valve's new VR technology, which is $1,000. It's crazy expensive, but it has like full finger sensing gloves. Like it's super fancy.
All right.
But it also works on every other headset. So doesn't matter if you have a Vive, an Oculus, you can play the new Half-Life when it comes out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Also, speaking of Oculus, the Oculus Quest, which you have one, got an update where you can now tether it to a PC and use it as a normal VR headset on a PC.
Really? I didn't know that.
So you can, using USB-C, you can plug it into your computer, and then any game on your computer that has VR support, it'll treat the Quest like a normal Oculus.
That's great. I figured they were going to end up doing something like that because the Quest is the same price as the Vive. The Vive.
Not the Vive.
The Rift.
Yes.
So I figured they were going to end up doing that, but I haven't updated it in like a month because one of my friends was like, do not do this update. It breaks Beat Saber or whatever. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's the only game I play consistently. I don't want to break it.
It probably broke it for 2 hours for the first day.
Probably.
Because when you update an operating system, you got to wait for the games to get their update, and I'm sure it happened very quickly. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's great.
it is good news. Another thing that could maybe be good news. We've talked about some catastrophic game launches this year
Yes.
on the podcast. The biggest failure that happened this year happened way before we had the podcast, and that was Anthem. I don't know if you heard about Anthem. It was bad. It was like the No Man's Sky controversy times like 100. Like they promised all this stuff. It didn't have it. The game had no content. There was nothing to do. It was broken. They would update it to fix it, and they like redid their loot system, and it just everyone hated it. They said it made the game worse. Like it was just bad, riddled with problems. They've announced that it's getting a full reboot. That another studio is going to be picking it up. They're giving it the No Man's Sky treatment. They are starting over, and in the next year, it's going to get basically an entire overhaul. The whole system.
It kills me when people have such a good idea for a game, and the idea is so good, but they don't follow. They don't follow what they need to do to put it out and make it be what it could be, and then you end up having to go back and redo it anyway. Just do it right from the beginning, people. It's got to be cheaper that way. They think they're doing it at a cheaper cost, but you got to go back and redo it now.
So
come on.
That's been everyone's complaints, and that is, well, the game was announced at E3, and basically, if you don't know the game, you get to be like your own version of Iron Man. You get these powered suits, and you go and you hunt creatures, and you do this stuff, and it looked amazing. That trailer was made before the company who was supposed to make the game even knew they were making it. It was a pre-rendered animated trailer that some corporate person at BioWare had put together. They showed it to the public and then went to the company and was like, make the game.
Oh, no.
And it's been bad. It was rushed. When it came out, everyone was like, this game should not have been out for another year or two. It was not ready.
Oh.
And now, their two key people who worked at the company have left the company. Completely. They were just like, they're like, no, game's still being supported. Like, we're working on it, as they're just backing out toward the door to get out of that company.
Oh, yikes.
So another studio under BioWare is picking it up. They said this will not affect Dragon Age 4, which they are also working on. So
yeah, I guess it is time for a new Dragon Age game.
So maybe they can fix it. A lot of people are comparing it to No Man's Sky. So they're saying, like, maybe in a year when it gets the big update, it'll actually be worth playing. Because it was a cool concept. Everyone bought into the concept. The execution was not there.
Damn.
So another possible failure is, and I've mentioned it the last couple of weeks, is Google Stadia came out. And the reviews have been all over the place. I watched Jacksepticeye do a video on it. He was sponsored by Google when he did it. Worked perfect for him. And this is, to reiterate for those that don't know what it is, this is a gaming streaming service that needs no hardware. So you are streaming the game 100% to a Chromecast. You have to buy a controller. The controller connects to Wi-Fi. And then you use your phone to pick the game you want.
Too much.
You literally.
It's too much.
The box is a controller. You open up the Chromecast app, sync the controller, and then you open the game market, buy a game, and just hit play, and it shows up on your TV.
Yeah, that's what they say about using Chromecast for Oculus, and I've seen how well that works.
We, not just you, were using it wrong.
Yeah, well, every time we try to do it again, it seems like we just haven't figured it out then.
They said that was in beta. This is a brand new service they are selling.
I don't know. Okay, you got Wi-Fi involved, you got your phone involved, you got apps you got to pull up.
Okay, yeah, but...
I can't.
Oh, my... Okay, so the idea behind it is...
That's my review.
You
I can't.
The idea is you buy the controller and a Chromecast. Like, they had a kit, it was like $130 or something. And then once you have that, you literally can play on anything. Any TV, you can play it on your computer, you can play it on all this stuff. You don't need a console. You never need a console. You never need to upgrade. That's what they're selling this as. Where they're like, oh, if you want a brand new Xbox, it's $500. Where us, as the games get better, you don't have to buy anything. The problem is, because of people's internets and the different of people's home networks and routers, it's been a mixed bag. Some people are having a great experience. Other people, it is not working at all for them. It's laggy. It's buggy. There's some people were trying to play Mortal.
Not laggy and buggy.
Yeah, no. Some people were trying to play Mortal Kombat, which is one of like. There's only like 20 games on it.
Right.
One of those. It's a fighting game.
Yeah.
That is very precise button inputs.
Yes.
People were saying it was unplayable. Other people were saying it was fine. Some were saying it was unplayable. So it's all over the place.
Yeah. It's like people's internet.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that is the problem with this stuff. Like, it's futuristic thinking. It's a great idea. It's
if internet catches up to it.
Yeah.
We have to. I think we're getting to that point though in games, technology, and streaming and everything now where I know we have the technology to have better internet. It's just them going back through all of these cities and rewiring them for it.
And that is so expensive.
Yes. So we are definitely at the point now. I know we are because when we left St. Louis, there was no fiber. You couldn't. I mean, there was AT&T fiber and like
It
stuff like.
was
You didn't have gigabit
offered
internet.
in 2% of the city.
We went back, and it seems like it's way more frequent there than it was when we left.
Mm-hmm. So the issue with fiber is it has to be ran street by street.
Right.
And the estimated costs, depending on where they're at, is anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 per mile to run these lines.
Right.
And they have to run them. Like, there's no infrastructure there.
Right.
So it's a very slow growth. And in around cities and more populated areas, that's more likely to happen. The reason I don't see a lot of these online things really going mainstream is if you have people live kind of out in the country or even literally just on the wrong side of a street, they're not going to have the internet to support it. They're not going to buy it. And I feel like it's still going to be a majority is not going to be able to even utilize it.
And I think for now, yes, that's true. But what I'm trying to say is that I think so many different services are becoming dependent on good internet that I think there's going to be more of a push. Like, it's going to force them to see, like, our actual economy is now relying on better internet.
Yeah.
It's going to get to be that way.
Well, and also I wonder how much the ISPs are.
And I think
are
especially
jerking us
because so
around.
many cars now, vehicles are becoming like dependent on internet,
Well,
for different.
So we had Charter Communications in St. Louis,
Right.
and when Google Fiber was announced, and they tried to get into St. Louis, and the local St. Louis government didn't want them, which I'm sure has to do with some political nonsense. But they basically turned Google away from St. Louis. Charter bumped our internet at the house we lived in, because I remember an internet guy came out while Jeff was at work and bumped our internet from, I think it was like 40 meg to 100. And all he had to do was just go in and like swap one little piece that I guess throttled us. I don't know. But so these internet companies, there is plenty of bandwidth, and they are metering it and holding it back on purpose. And they are going to hold on to it as long as possible until they kind of have to release it.
Right.
It's the same with long distance phone calls. Telecoms used to charge extra money for long distance phone calls. And they used to say, oh, well, they would give some made up reasons. It really made no difference whatsoever on the infrastructure of the telephone system. It was like literally calling your neighbor is how a long distance call affected the network. All the telecoms have bought out all of the major internet companies now. They're all owned by the telecom companies. And they are trying to do the same thing. They have been doing the same thing with internet for about the last decade. And they're going to keep doing it. Like, they're only going to give us just enough for us to back off so they can keep charging an arm and a leg for it.
That's really sad and messed up, but it is also the way of the world.
Yep.
Well,
oh yeah, we were talking about gaming news. Did I have anything else? Let's see.
oh, we did want to discuss the Tesla, but we can wait because I know Jeff has a lot of opinions on that as well.
Yes.
And maybe something exciting will happen with them between now and next week.
Well, and I have one more extremely nerdy thing, so you probably won't care. But AMD, who is the lead competitor to Intel, just put out a brand new processor, their newest Threadripper, and it is the first chip they've put out that actually can outperform Intel's best chip.
All right.
And they've been working.
And it cost $1 million.
It's cheaper than Intel.
Nice.
It's like $1,200 or something for like a 36-core chip, which is insane. But they've been building up on this technology. It's also running 7 nanometer capacitors or whatever they are, like the chips on it.
You don't say.
Well, okay, so I was going to explain. 7 nanometer is the measurement between them. So all the little chips in the processor, they're only 7 nanometers apart. Intel is on 10 nanometer, which is what AMD was on, but AMD figured out, they've been talking about 7 nanometer for a long time. Like both companies are like, that's the next thing. That's the smallest you can go before electrons start jumping back and forth between chips or something crazy like that. But AMD cracked it first.
Well, okay, how long have they had this product out and how many sales?
Like I found out about it this morning.
So I'd hang out and not be buying anything like that until I see how many people's computers explode or whatever happens.
Why would someone's computer explode?
I don't know. I'm not literally their computer explode, but I'm just saying it's a new thing. It's like with those fancy ass graphics cards everybody was buying. I'm just gonna wait and see. Let them figure it out first.
Yeah,
Quality control that shit before.
All electronics have a certain fail rate. People need to just accept that. It's like 5% of all electronics produced are going to fail. You could end up with one DOA. You could end up one that's fine. Like,
I think, yes, if that product has been out for a while.
No, that's all.
I'm saying, like, when it first releases, I want to let other people buy and use it and make sure that it's quality controlled before I would spend my money on that.
This is AMD's biggest launch they've ever done. Like, they know they are going toe-to-toe with Intel for the first time. And, no, I've been watching reviews on it. Like, yeah, I'm going to hold off. I don't have $1,200 to buy a chip and then $300 to buy a new motherboard.
Right.
But I'm more excited actually for the future of this because AMD has been working for years to catch up to Intel. Intel had a superior product. They have been really pushing their architecture, which is different than Intel's. Like, it's a different approach. That's why they were able to hit 7 nanometer first. Because they have done this and they now actually are putting up a proper 1-to-1 fight, the next set of chips, that could be the shift in the market where AMD actually has a far more superior chip than Intel. Because Intel, they need the competition. They need to pull their head out of the sand and start offering better products. Because the last chip they put out right before this new Threadripper came out is a joke. Like, all the reviews are saying it's literally the same chip as before with a slightly higher boost speed. So they basically took the same chip, barely did anything to it, and they're charging an absurd amount of money for it. So Intel is jerking customers around because they're at the top. They're not feeling the burn. So
I can feel my eyes glazing over.
I know. I'm trying. I'm trying.
You have been talking about a processor for like 20 minutes. I'm about to pass out.
It's been like 5, and anyone who
feels like a lifetime.
Anyone who likes computers, I'm sure, is
all two of you.
All yes.
Like, come on.
You just pointed at the screen with me on it.
Yeah, all two of you.
Yeah.
You and you, man.
So okay.
We got it.
I'll wrap it up.
Good for AMD.
Yeah, exciting news in the computer world.
Very nice.
So if you have $1,500, AMD's the best chip.
Okay. If I had $1,500, I would pay someone to shoot you right now.
Wow. Okay. I'm offering buyer's advice. Intel versus AMD. AMD's buy them.
You want some intel? This podcast is over.
We ending it?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right, guys.
It was a pleasure to spend our Monday with you.
Mm-hmm. We will see all of you next week. Okay, goodbye. Bye.
Empty hearts and